Good morning. Today I want to look at my second video in a series of videos I'm making called Why Atheism is Wrong. And this morning I want to look at the Kalam cosmological argument. This argument is nothing new. It's been around for hundreds of years. I guess this morning I just want to give my take on it. I cannot prove to you scientifically that there is a God. In other words, I can't show you material evidence. I can't say to my students, for example, look through this microscope or telescope and you'll see God. Just like I can't say to them, look through this microscope or telescope and you'll see love, truth, or beauty. And yet as human beings, we live and die for love, truth, and beauty. It's the same with God. However, I can give very reasonable grounds for believing in God. I can give philosophical and logical reasons for believing in God. And the Catholic tradition has always said that faith and reason go together. It's like, reason is the solid foundation. Reason is the runway from which faith takes off. If you haven't got that solid foundation in reason, then your faith is going to be very questionable. It's not going to be built on solid grounds. Let me look at deductive reasoning. Before I get to the actual cosmological argument, let me look at the process of deductive reasoning, because the cosmological argument follows this process. Deductive logic or deductive reasoning is a process of reasoning based on one or more statements or premises in order to reach a logically certain conclusion. So you have premise 1, premise 2, and the conclusion based on those premises is logically certain. For example, if I say premise 1 that all triangles have 3 sides, and if I say that premise 2, X is a triangle, then it is logically certain that X has 3 sides. If I say all men are mortal, premise 1, premise 2, Muhammad Ali is a man. Premise 3, the logically certain conclusion is Muhammad Ali is mortal. Now, how does this work in terms of the argument for the existence of God? Premise 1, all things that have a beginning have a cause. Premise 2, the universe has a beginning. Premise 3, the universe has a cause. Let's look at those 3 premises in a little bit more detail. All things that have a beginning have a cause. I'm wearing this beanie. I put it on this morning. The cause being, it's freezing outside. On my last video, actually, somebody wrote down the video on why atheism is wrong. Somebody wrote why having no hair is wrong, which I thought was quite funny, actually. But the reason having no hair is wrong is because it makes you cold. So the cold weather is the cause of my beanie. My jacket has a beginning. It has a cause. The person who made it. This book has a beginning. Its cause is the author. Everything that has a beginning has a cause. And to say otherwise would be to be logically inconsistent. The universe, second premise, the universe has a beginning. Before Einstein, the scientific consensus was that the universe had no beginning or end. It was eternal. But with Einstein and the Edwin Space Telescope and the discovery of the background radiation of the universe and the Big Bang Theory, which, by the way, was first proposed by a Catholic priest, the scientific consensus now is that the universe had a beginning about 13.7 billion years ago. And I would agree with the scientific consensus on the Big Bang and the theory of evolution. However, I believe God is behind it all. So, scientific consensus is that the universe had a beginning. And everything that came into existence with the Big Bang. Therefore, the universe has to have a cause. If it has a beginning, it has to have a cause. It cannot come from nothing. If everything that came into existence with the Big Bang, then it is illogical to say that the universe came from nothing, because from nothing, nothing comes. Something cannot come from nothing. And it's just ridiculous to say, well, science is working on it. Science is going to show us how nothing can produce something. Be like me saying, well, scientists are working on trying to prove that you can have a triangle without three sides. It's just simply illogical. It just simply makes no sense. So the very foundation of atheism is built on clay feet. The universe has to have a cause. That's the first movement, or the first part of the cosmological argument. That's the first check, and the second part goes into what I think is the checkmate. So if the universe has a cause, what's the nature of that cause? Let's look at that. Science tells us that all matter came into existence with the Big Bang. Matter did not exist before the Big Bang. Atoms, molecules, everything we can see and touch, material reality did not exist before the Big Bang. So the cause of the Big Bang has to be non-material. And this is what religions refer to when they talk about spiritual reality. So the cause of the Big Bang has to be a non-material reality. Religious people call that a spiritual reality. Second thing is, space came into existence before the Big Bang. Space came into existence with the Big Bang. Sometimes we imagine the Big Bang as taking place in empty space. This is incorrect, because empty space did not exist before the Big Bang. So what caused the Big Bang has to be spaceless, not bound by space, not limited by space. And this is what religion means when we talk about the omnipresence of God. God is everywhere because God is nowhere in particular. Third thing, time came into existence with the Big Bang. This is what science tells us. Space and time came into existence with the Big Bang. So if time came into existence with the Big Bang, the cause of the Big Bang has to be outside of time, beyond time, has to transcend time. It's not bound by time. And this is what all religions mean when they talk about God as being eternal. Eternal does not mean time that goes on forever, infinite time. Eternal means beyond time, outside of time. So it is a bit, it's pointless to say, well, if God caused the Big Bang, what caused God? What come before God? Well, you can't have a before God, because to have a before God just implies time, and time did not exist before the Big Bang. So you cannot have a before God. And this is what we mean by the uncreated cause. All religions talk about an uncreated cause. So far you have a non-material reality, a reality that is outside of space and outside of time. Next thing, which is a little bit more complicated, but God is not a particular thing in a particular place. So when atheists say, for example, that, well, religious people believe in an old man in the sky, or a flying spaghetti monster. An old man in the sky is a particular thing in a particular place. I know sometimes that metaphor is used to talk about God, but we've got to understand that all metaphors, everything we say about God is metaphorical. It's limited. It cannot explain the ultimate mystery. So God is not in a particular place or a particular thing. God transcends space and time and matter. So God is life. God is consciousness. God is being itself, consciousness itself, life itself, personality itself. a conscious personality that transcends space and time. How do we know this? Well, because we live in a universe in which consciousness and personality and intelligence exist. Now, they cannot come from nowhere. The less complex cannot create the more complex. Matter cannot create life. Matter by itself cannot create life. Life by itself cannot create consciousness. Consciousness by itself cannot create self-conscious, creative, intelligent, free human beings. So whatever created these things has to find their ultimate source in a intelligent, conscious, personal being that we call God. God is a bit like the ocean through which everything in the ocean exists. God is life with a capital L, through which everything that has life derives this life from. God is pure consciousness, and everything that has consciousness shares in God's consciousness. God is pure intelligence, and everything that has intelligence shares in the intelligence of God. So we've established that the universe has a cause, and we've established that that cause is timeless, spaceless, spiritual, intelligent, conscious, and personal. And the last I looked, that was the definition of God. So that's the checkmate. Now, I know not everyone who watches this or reads the cosmological argument will agree, but that's my 2 cents worth. In the next video, I want to look at the argument from design, which I think is an even more compelling argument than the cosmological argument. So thank you for listening.